Home court was held in both games last night as the Heat and the Timberwolves claimed their respective number 8 seeds. I'm hashtag stormpinball, and this is NBA The Big Question. We'll start this quick and dirty version with an apology. I have failed you. The point of this show is to recap the previous night's games and then identify the big questions that will define the games to come. I didn't really do that last time. The big question for the Heat's Bulls game was how would the Heat come out after an especially lackluster performance against the Hawks. They looked so bad and seemed to have so many serious systemic problems such as horrendous rebounding and awful free throw shooting that I didn't think that they could turn it all around in a day. But I forgot a key thing about the playoffs. A bad game is just a bad game, and you can shake it off. The Heat looked like a completely different team last night. Bam Adebayo shot only 1 out of 9 from the field, but he was 6 from 8 from the line, and the whole team vastly improved there, shooting 87.5%. The real key for Adebayo was that he had 17 rebounds and set a completely different tone defensively. Jimmy Butler even remarked that it was a key factor in the win. He had low-key called out Adebayo in the last game, so this was a way of acknowledging and appreciating the adjustment that he made. Let's take a quick caller. We have Max S. from Miami on the line. Yeah, hi, first-time caller, long-time listener. What else did you say about the last game? Something like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent looked like they were regular season-only players? Yeah, well, I was happy to be wrong. Max Strus lit it up last night, and he's a player whose story I've really enjoyed following. He nailed 7 threes and tied Jimmy Butler for the team high of 31 points. The question now is whether or not he can be more consistent and be as good on the road as he was at home last night. Nice job proving me wrong, Max, and good luck against the Bucks. Thank you very much. Personally, I'm glad that the Heat won because I want to see if Jimmy Butler can repeat the incredible performance in the playoffs that he put up last year. It really wouldn't be the playoffs without him. In the West Coast play-in, the Wolves had a relatively easy time with the Thunder, and it was the Thunder who gassed out in the end, losing the fourth quarter 25-17. It was really helpful to have Rudy Gobert back in the lineup for the Wolves, but the real X factor was Nickel Alexander-Walker being inserted into the starting lineup in order to guard his cousin, Thunder superstar SGA. It was a genius move by the coaching staff, and it had a huge impact on the game. I watched Gilgeous-Alexander try to gut it out in the second half, and while he missed a lot of shots, he still managed to make it to the line often, and he was perfect from there. The problem was that none of the other guys really stepped up. Giddey had a really rough night from the field, going 2 for 13 and missing all of his three-point shots. The Wolves played physical defense against him, and there were some calls that could have been made, but it wasn't his night. It seemed like whenever the Thunder finally found an open man, they weren't able to convert. They shot 32.5% from 3, and combining that with the fact that they didn't have the physical edge meant that they really didn't have a chance. I guess 2 road wins in a row against tough physical teams was just too much to ask, but I still think they'll be a force to reckon with in the years to come. I went 0-2 last night and 0-1 on my strong recommendations. So that's right, cue the music. I'm now completely useless. Let's get back on track with some better predictions. Here are the big questions for today's 4 games as the real playoffs kick off. Game 1, Nets at Sixers, 1 o'clock, ESPN. Nets getting 8.5 points. It seems like it should be less because they are so solid defensively. The big question here, will the Nets have a defensive edge, and will they continue to gel as a team since they haven't been together too long? And on top of that, who else can score for them outside of Bridges consistently? I think that the Nets are an underrated team, so I want to say that they'll keep this game close, but I feel that underdogs tend to do better later on in the series, and that the Sixers will probably put together a statement win in Game 1. The Nets should keep it close in the first half, but the Sixers will be too much for them in the second and should have a big fourth quarter to help them win by a margin in the low teens. Game 2, Hawks at Celtics, 3:30 ESPN. Boston laying 10. The big question, how tough can the Hawks play in a Game 1 ultra-hostile environment? This also seems like a lot of points, but I think it will play out the same way. The non-play-in teams will have had a lot of rest and time to practice and prepare, so I think these 2 Game 1s will be one-sided. The Hawks may challenge the Celtics later in the series, but not in this one. Game 3, Knicks at Cavaliers, 6 o'clock, ESPN. Cavs favored here by 5.5 points. The big question is, will Randle play, and how good will he be if he does? And then there are a lot of other little questions here too as well. How healthy is Jarrett Allen? Will quickly continue to be a force in the playoffs after a great finish to the regular season? I'm a huge Knicks fan, and I love this team. The biggest stumbling block I have for the series win is the fact that the Knicks tend to play better on the road than at home. They've been that way the entire season. I think this spells doom in the playoffs, though, because the Cavs also have a strong home field advantage. So if the Knicks struggle to protect their house and the Cavs succeed in holding court on their own, it doesn't leave a lot of opportunity to compete for the series win. There's going to be a tremendous amount of athletic young talent on the floor today. It's going to be an amazing game to watch. I think that the Cavs will win but not cover. They never make it easy for themselves, and the Knicks won't ever give up, so it'll be a close one. I'll take the 5.5 points. Finally, Game 4, Warriors at Kings, 8:30 on ABC. The Kings are a 1-point favorite. The big question here is, will the Warriors' horrible play on the road be a regular season-only thing, or will it continue to be an issue in the playoffs? Because that disparity in record and quality of play is insane. The other key question is, are the Warriors healthy enough to compete in the playoffs this year? I feel like they stretched themselves to the absolute limits last year and were bailed out by Kevin Looney playing way over his head, sometimes being the sole valuable interior defender when Draymond wasn't playing up to par or when he was off the floor. The road losses may have been the Warriors pacing themselves throughout the season, but they don't seem to be coming into the postseason nearly as healthy as they were last year, whereas Sacramento seems to be ready to go full steam ahead. The pressure for this game is actually on the Kings, because if they lose home court advantage and have to win on the road, that will be a tough ask. But that's exactly what I see happening here. I think that the nerves and lack of playoff experience will work against the Kings, and they'll drop Game 1, but I do think that they will come back to win the series. It's a wild prediction, but I think that the longer this series goes, the more it benefits the Kings. I think tonight will be one of those games that the Warriors steal, but that the Kings will gain confidence from, and then eventually convert that confidence into victories in the later games in the series. I'll take the Warriors +1 in Game 1. What do you think? The real playoffs are a go. Who's going to win these games? What do you think the big questions are? Please like, subscribe, comment, and be notified. Before I sign off, I have to say just one more thing. Anyone who threatened or posted viciously negative comments about DeMar DeRozan should be banned from social media and from NBA stadiums. While her screams may have been piercing, and I definitely wouldn't want to have been sitting in front of her, the players are the ones who missed the foul shots. And as a human being and a member of civilized society, you absolutely cannot respond to anyone that way. I love this game, but it's a game. If you bet money on Bradley Beal and he had a bad night, do not say a word to him. It was you who put the money down. Every win and loss is going to cause financial ups and downs every night for a lot of people, and it's not fair to blame the players directly. If we did, no one would want to play in these games. So enjoy the playoffs, go crazy, and party like a rock star. But when it's over, remember that it's a game and that these athletes train their whole lives not only to succeed for themselves, but also to entertain you. And any negative behavior based on the outcome of a game is completely uncalled for under any circumstances. Sportsmanship is playing with passion and receiving the outcome with grace. Enjoy the games and then enjoy your life outside of them. Representing hard work and talent, I'm Sean the Storm Grant, #StormPinball on YouTube and Instagram, saying have a great night, and I'll catch you tomorrow.